What's up, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Pit Therapy Podcast with me, Trevor, and Kyle.
Sup?
First, I'm glad to hear that my mic is working. I just hit the bottom of it, and every now and again, it fries your brain. So I was worried that just happened. Dude, what's up?
Not much, man. Just
We're recording late for you.
It is late. Kid had baseball, and dude, people take baseball so freaking serious down here. It's insane.
I mean, at this point, it's sports in general.
That's true, but this is like ridiculous. It's not normal the way parents act at 9-year-old baseball games. So,
Like what? What took place that made you come to this conclusion?
like, umpire makes one bad call, and the whole parent section is just screaming, like not yelling, not making comments, like screaming. And people, the coaches are full on screaming, yelling at kids, made the catcher cry.
But listen, listen. I was the 14-year-old umpire.
No, these are like old men.
Well, I was a 14-year-old umpire. I made terrible calls, horrid calls. I got chewed out.
Yeah.
So,
but they shouldn't do that. Who cares? It's just like, for example, tonight we beat the team. So I think at this age, it's either like a certain number of innings. I think it's like 4 innings, or the time runs out. Whichever one comes first ends the game.
Yeah.
Well, the time ran out
because you guys just kept scoring.
Yeah, no, seriously, we like 7-run ruled them 1 inning. But the time ran out on the game, so they were going to call the game. But then the coach came out and he's like, "No, like run differential matters at the end of the season, and so we want to you guys can take the win, but we want to finish the inning." And then their kid got up and struck out, and the game ended. But I'm like, dude, run differential in 9-year-old baseball, like rec league baseball. This isn't comp. This isn't travel ball. This is like rec league baseball. Run differential. Come on.
Like your son's out there picking his nose in the
outfit. Dude. Half the kids Eli, my son, was in the dugout, just like, guys, it's like 9 o'clock. I want to go home.
Oh, dude, that sucks, man.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's why I'm back so freaking late, because the stupid coach on his run differential, we had to keep playing. It was stupid. So
that's hilarious. Well,
it's been a strange week with sports, because I watched the Mavericks Lakers game last night, and it was rough. Like, I've only been in Dallas for like 4 years, but I was emotional. Like, I was on the Luka bandwagon, dude. Like, full blown.
I know, man.
I was on the bandwagon, and like, holy cow, it pissed me off watching that last night. I'm glad he dropped 50. I wish he would have scored more against the Mavericks and then like taking a dump on the logo. But
did you watch the NCAA tournament at all?
Oh yeah, I did. Dude, great. Like, the Final Four were great games, and the championship was a great game.
The championship was a fantastic game.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that was awesome. Ovechkin, the new NHL all-time scorer.
Wayne Gretzky rule.
Like,
and see,
dude, we're not a sports pod, but I'm here to talk about sports today, man.
Okay, like, we're not a sports pod, but you and I both follow sports, so whatever.
Yeah.
You know, that Ovechkin one's kind of crazy, because like, think about how much better the sport is nowadays compared to when Wayne Gretzky was playing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, goalies have bigger pads. They fill up more of the goal. They're more skilled. Like, the game is faster. The game is more skilled. Like, it's crazy that he would do that.
Has he only been on the Capitals as well?
Mm-hmm.
So all with one team too.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that's awesome.
I know. That's that's not uncommon in hockey.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's true. Right. I'm comparing it to other sports, but you're right. Like, when you have a star player, you typically retain said star player.
Yeah. But the Stars are good this year, man. They're looking good. So
who's the other guy though, who's like 284 games into his season, and he's already ahead in goals than Ovechkin was at this point in his career?
I have no idea. outside of the Dallas Stars, like I don't really follow hockey too
Yeah,
much.
I mean, I'm not a huge hockey follower, but I've been like, he keeps popping up on Instagram. Like, there's comparisons going on. Listen, man. Apparently, I'm super judgmental, but this dude has a forehead that's like 4 times too long.
Dude,
Like, Strip, I thought it was a meme post at first. This dude's forehead is like a freaking cutting board up there. It's
it's
insane.
like it's like inappropriate to say like a good move was a big brain play. You know, like is that,
Like, he's like
is that
Megamind, dude.
like
At
he's
some
Megamind?
point in his career, he is going to stop a shot with that forehead. Like, it's going to happen.
That's crazy
Like,
about the forehead and
man.
the goals. So
Yeah. Anyways, I wish I was more knowledgeable about hockey to be able to talk about some of that stuff. I follow like the major news as it
yeah,
pertains to the NHL kind of thing. So
I mean, I
Ovechkin,
watch.
like that's awesome.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like I watch the Stars, you know, because they their streaming service is free down here,
Yeah, yeah.
which is an incredible thing for them to do. And like their numbers are showing it. Like I guess they've had like record numbers for broadcasts and stuff. So
Yeah.
like
Well,
almost
dude.
like not being like an anti-consumer, you know, sports team is good for the city you live in, you know? So
Dude,
who would have
Utah's
thought?
gonna be a hockey town very soon. Like already,
Yeah.
the first year for the Utah Hockey Club has been great.
It's because the
And
Jazz suck, so, you know.
that's true, but it's also helpful that like the hockey club's definitely on the upswing. Like they sucked really bad out in Arizona.
Yeah.
Arizona can suck it. And then they come here and they're still not great, right? We're going to miss the playoffs, but there's at least a future ahead here.
Yeah.
So it's exciting.
No, it's cool. That's cool.
What about music, man? We didn't
Um,
really get to talk music last time because we were on with Sarah, the
mhm.
hardcore therapist. So what's come out over the last 2 weeks?
uh,
I feel like there's
uh,
been a lot.
Stateside, they're like a pop punk band from California. I think they're on
Okay.
Pure Noise. They released a new song. It's really good. Dude, did you listen to the new Turnstile song?
No, I mean, like I listen to clips, like whatever their
Right.
promo was of it. I've got no interest.
Yeah. I don't look, we've talked probably too much about stuff like this with bands changing their sound and changing names or whatever, but I don't know, like
You coming around?
no, the sound change doesn't bother me. I guess what bothers me and is when you use the hardcore scene to prop yourself up. You know, like I don't know how to explain it. Like them and like Scowl, like their new
No,
album,
I
like that's
know,
cool.
I
Like
know what
they
you're
cut their teeth,
saying,
they
but
cut their teeth on the hardcore scene. That's kind of cool, but like they're not a hardcore. Neither one of those are hardcore bands anymore.
no,
And like we don't need to talk about them like hardcore bands. You
yeah,
know, if I was into like indie pop, rock, whatever, like Turnstile would be really cool. You know,
yeah.
like it's good music. It's just I think everyone gets so mad because they are still talking them in the vein of that they're a hardcore band and they're
I
not.
mean, and it's not to the same level, right, as a Turnstile and a Scowl who have had crazy sponsorships, but 100th, they just put out their new stuff. And
Yeah.
I am the hater of all haters on new 100th music. Like, but here's the
Yeah.
thing. It's actually not bad. Like,
No.
it's not bad for what you said.
Right.
If you enjoy that type of music, it's actually pretty good. I want old 100th. I want old melodic
Yeah.
hardcore. You know what I mean?
So the
So,
difference with them though is like they kind of cut themselves off of the scene, is what I understand. Like I heard they even like talk crap on it. They're like, yeah, the hardcore scene's stupid. It's
I mean, that was from the episode that we did on them. Because when
yeah,
we were talking to Gooner, he was saying, being out of South Carolina, that when they play home shows, they'll play their
play their heavy
melodic
stuff.
stuff sometimes. Like, he's like, if
Yeah,
you get a hometown show, every now and again, they'll play the heavy stuff.
yeah,
And it's like sick, you know?
yeah, that's
So,
cool. I don't know, like what's worse, like what Turnstile and Scowl are doing, or what like Parkway Drive and Under Oath did. Because like Parkway Drive's deviation to me is it's not that far off, you know, but it's just far off enough to where it pisses you off. Whereas like Turnstile and Scal, it's like you're not even, and Hundredth, it's like you're not even in the same ballpark as what you were playing
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I mean, I don't like any of it. So, like,
Yeah,
who am
I
I to
think
say?
I think I'm a little more okay with Parkway Drive and
Are
Under Oath.
you?
Yeah, because like
Because
they
I mean,
they
at
put
least
their
they can
time in.
play. Well, here's the thing: they can still actually play some of their old songs mixed in with their new set. You know,
Yeah,
you can't be Turnstile, you can't be Scout, and play some of the old stuff for your new crowd, or they're going to be like, "What is happening?"
yeah,
So I guess I probably am more in line with you on that. Probably the Parkway Under Oath. At least you're still in the metal vein,
yeah. Like
arena
it's
rock.
garbage, but at least
Like
it's
you,
still at least you're still in the same ballpark, you know.
like the drunk dude's going to fight the hardcore kid. Like, and at
Yeah.
least you're gonna have some entertainment for the night.
Does Parkway
So
Drive play anything like older than
when they did their 20-year
or
anniversary show, they played a lot of their old stuff.
really?
So I'd be curious. I'd go to one. I'd go and see Parkway still. If it was, I'm not spending $75 to go see Parkway.
Yeah,
If I could see them for 25, $30, I'd go see Parkway again.
yeah.
I don't care. For the hopes of one. Give me one.
Give me Smoke 'em if you got 'em, dude, and
Smoke them if you got them.
I'll
Romance
get
is dead.
I'll get kicked out for one of those. It's fine. Like just do one song. I'll get kicked out. It's fine, and it'll be worth it. You know?
Listen, even go to Horizons. I'll take something off of Horizons. Give me Carry On.
Yeah.
Give me Horizons, right? Like I don't care. Just give me something from the first two albums.
So
So
I have a buddy that's down in Vegas right now. That's at the Bolt for My Valentine
nice.
like anniversary tour. You know, on that one the it's their first
Dude,
album, right? That made
the
them like super
Poison.
famous.
Yeah, them
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Trivium.
yeah. Yeah. So August Burns Red, he just sent me a picture of August Burns Red, and he's like, dude, I don't know like these guys at all.
Oh,
And
for
so
real?
and I'm sure August Burns Red is playing like songs more tailored towards A Bullet for My Valentine and Trivium.
Yeah,
I can hear you listening to music, by the way. Thanks for paying
yeah.
attention to the talk. I'm just kidding.
Your conscience calls.
Anyways, I'm trying to do the same thing with him of like, dude, you should go back and listen to Composure and,
Yeah.
you know, Messengers or whatever. So,
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to get people to go back. So, anyways, we got major sidetracked. Other new music. Freaking Decoy single with Marauder,
oh,
dude.
yeah.
I have played that song so many times since it has dropped. Absolutely insane. So
I,
good.
I know it's only like April, but it's the best drop. It'll probably be the best drop this whole year. I don't know
For
how anyone tops this.
dude, so good. Absolutely incredible. They're playing with Marauder coming up. Like that show's going to be sick. I
Yeah,
really hope that he comes out and does it live with them. I would think that he would, especially in Louisiana, their hometown show.
right.
I expect that he would. But dude, that's just such a sick pickup. Such a good song.
So
So great.
they're doing a little run with Soul Exchange.
Right now, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and dude, because Soul Exchange, a little EP thing that they dropped was just like pure
Yeah.
anger too.
Dude, that was really, really
Crazy.
good. And
So
then Haywire dropped
uh,
a split with oh, what are they called? No guard? Is that what they're called? The shirts
sure,
for skins. Yeah. And my understanding, I think that they did 3 of No Guard songs and then No Guard did 3 of their songs. I think is
cool.
what it is. And dude, it's just good, man. It's
Yeah.
old, it's punk. It's the transition that went from punk to hardcore. That's I love Haywire for that. Do you
Well,
know what I'm saying?
but it's old school. It's real hardcore. Like it's
Yeah,
OG
yeah,
hardcore. It's
yeah.
Minor
Yeah.
Threat
It's what
hardcore.
yeah,
You know, it's
yeah.
agnostic front hardcore. So yeah,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. But like you say hardcore today, and most
No, I know.
people, it's heavier vocals. This is much more punk, right?
Yeah,
It's what you would expect from the old original style. And it's awesome. And dude,
hardcore today is
again,
just. rebranded metalcore.
Yeah, yeah, for the most part. But dude, that
It's good. It's really
that
good.
tour again, we gave him credit when we were talking to Steve from Fortunes, and like 30 something dates,
Yeah.
just insane.
Yeah. They're hitting everywhere. It's crazy.
So freaking good. Um trying to think if there's I know that there's been other music and I
Did
just
we talk about the new Spirit World album?
I don't think
I don't
we
think we did.
talked about it. I know we posted about it, but I don't
Yeah,
think we talked about it. I posted about a ton of it. I just don't
good.
remember.
I'm excited to see them. I'm going to see them next week on that Obituary Terror tour. So
Yeah, dude, that's gonna be so fun.
it's
Obituary,
gonna be crazy.
Terror, Nails, Spirit World, Pest Control.
Dude, Pest Control rips, man.
Yeah,
They're
it's
so good.
just it's just gnarly, dude. Um. Anyways, okay. I went and saw the Days tour last night.
Oh yeah. Was it good?
Number one, Recidivist, freaking Salt Lake death metal, absolute top notch. Like I, Recidivist is awesome. The dudes are awesome. Their music is awesome. We talked about them. They're great. Second band, The Return of Crow Killer.
It's tight.
Josh started this with us. We love Josh. We love Crow Killer.
Yeah.
Dude, seeing them live again, like I don't know if you saw my social media post about it, but before they even started playing, their guitars are just ringing out and Blake is up there and he's just like talking. He's like, this is for Salt Lake. This is for Straight Edge. Side to side. Get moving. And like, no music's even happening. And guitar swinging
Yeah.
to him just up there, just talking. And then they come in to castigate. And it's just, dude,
It's
so
sick.
freaking good.
It looked
I,
awesome.
I absolutely love Crow Killer. I love those guys too. Um, I was super happy to see him play. They played a new song.
Oh,
I
really?
don't, yeah, I don't know if they're doing anything else. I'm not breaking any news here. Like, it'll be interesting to see if they play a couple. They'll play one-off shows maybe here and there, but I don't think that we're going to see too much
Yeah.
from them going forward, unfortunately. And then freaking the Days tour, man. It's in your town next Wednesday or something, or next Monday, or when is it? The 15th?
I don't know. I'm not going, but
Freaking go.
dude, I'll catch a lot of hate for this, but I don't really like a lot of like any of the bands playing. So
Dude, you're insane, man. This
a
was
little bit.
one of the most fun shows that I've been to in a while. Not because like I moshed hard or anything like that. Salt Lake went so hard. This was the most violent, in a good way, show that I've been to in a long time. And we've had awesome shows recently.
Yeah.
Freaking the PA system, like I thought it was going over. Like people were getting like slammed into it. It was like bouncing around and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Kids were throwing hard. I was standing behind the PA, like the crowds. People were coming behind the PA to crowd kill. Like it got wild.
That's cool.
So starting off, you had I believe they pronounce it Ajahara. I'm probably saying that wrong. Sorry, I should have looked it up beforehand. Straight up old school metalcore, absolutely fantastic. Old, like, remind you of I Killed the Prom Queen, Catherine's, uh, Old Parkway, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just so good. Next up was Final Resting Place. I don't listen to a lot of Final Resting Place. I've listened to that album. That is who everyone was there for. This
Oh.
is the one where people were coming around the PA systems to hit anyone in the freaking crowd. It was wild. Then you had Balmora. Again, that metalcore, absolute fantastic sound that's just, it's literally the best metalcore you can have kind of thing. I love the
Yeah.
vocals too. That higher scream that you get, like Oh, dude, so good. Then Sanction, which Salt Lake loves Sanction. Crow
Yeah.
Killer, right, was going on tour with Sanction when COVID hit and they had to
Mm.
stop the tour. So, like, they're homies, all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. And then Torture. And listen, I'm not a slam guy. I'm not a, like, Torture doesn't do it for me. So I caught like one song and then it was 7 bands deep and I was like, I'm bailing. So,
Yeah. That's cool.
but dude,
Sounds like a sweet show. Glad you had fun.
you're dumb. Go. Freaking go to
Yeah,
the show, man.
I'm right.
Oh, well. All right
I
then.
mean, it looked sick. The videos look sick. Their
Yeah,
whole
dude.
tours look sick. So they, I mean, the kids like it, you know.
Yeah,
So
I like it.
it is cool to see a sound that we grew up with come back. So
Yes.
you
I
know,
am absolutely in love with the Balmora Ajahara's sound. Like that old school metalcore sound is right up my alley. And
yeah,
honestly, it bridges what we're talking about today. It bridges As Blood Runs Black, Deathcore.
hmm yeah.
So I wanted to talk about As Blood Runs Black. Have we done a deathcore band yet?
Not deathcore. We did do Black Dahlia. I mean,
Yeah, so we
so
did death metal,
with death
right?
metal. I guess we haven't really done
I
deathcore.
don't think we've done deathcore, right? We talked about
Would you
deathcore
like on
with,
Broken Wings? Is that close?
I
No,
mean, no, they that's like moshcore. No, it's not. It's not deathcore. Um, yeah, no, this is the first one. And
probably.
we talked about MySpace deathcore with Chris on our MySpace episode.
Mm-hmm.
I freaking love. I specifically love MySpace deathcore. Okay, so I wanted to do As Blood Runs Black because Allegiance is a top 3 all-time deathcore album in my opinion. What do you say to that
uh,
non-deathcore liking person?
look, the like first iterations of deathcore, MySpace deathcore type stuff, to a certain extent, I'm a little more okay with it because it didn't come off as gimmicky to me. You know, um, I did not hate listening to his Runs Black. I didn't necessarily like it. Like, I'm not going to leave this episode and be like, yeah, dude, I'm going to go listen to more freaking as, as Blood Runs Black. That's just not going to happen. But I did not hate it as much as I thought I was going to. I
Yeah,
never really listened to these guys that much back in the day either. Honestly, I think the only deathcore band that I fully like got behind was Sea of Treachery, but
really? Well,
they're not
no.
even that deathcore-y.
You
Who
listen to
else?
more than that. With
Who?
Blood Comes Cleansing. We listened to With Blood Comes
Okay,
Cleansing.
that might be the only deathcore album that like I actually would listen to.
We listened
But
to Winds of Plague.
I was not really a Winds of Play guy.
You had the album.
I had the album, didn't listen to it ever. I
Bought it
mean,
just to
Job
be
for a
cool.
Cowboy didn't do it. You know,
Yeah, it
even like
wasn't
a Mirror
really
and Acacia Strain, like I mean, Acacia Strain's like all right, but like they just weren't really, it just wasn't really my thing. And I figured out why.
okay. Well, let's get
It's
into this before this.
okay, yeah, it's the vocals, man. It's 100% the vocals.
Okay.
Because the parts where I don't know the vocalist's name for his Blood Runs Black. I forgot it.
I mean, they've had 4 or 5 different vocalists, so
The guy off the Allegiance, because I think that's going to be the bulk of what we talk about, because it's clearly their best album.
yeah.
Um, when he did his like normal middle registry scream, 100% I could listen to that. Like I could listen to that.
It's hardcore.
Yeah, well, it's metalcore,
Yeah,
right? Like,
metalcore, hardcore. Yeah.
yeah. But it's with the weird like. It's not even the like high and lows because we listen to bands. We talked about it with Decoy a couple weeks ago, like when he went high, but it wasn't this like gremlin getting
Yeah.
impaled in the anus by something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just a normal high to normal low. But this stuff, man, when it's like the first song to the album Ground Zero, what is it, City Limits? Like the intro where it's like just freaking like gremlin screaming. It's like I'm all right, man. Like I'm all right. I don't like it. I don't like it. The music's sick. Now I'm just like rambling off here on this. The music, especially in Allegiance, was tight. Like it didn't feel overproduced. It didn't feel gimmicky with like 808s. It didn't feel like they were just doing it to be cool. It felt like it was just real, raw, aggressive, death metal, deathcore music, right?
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. Honestly, if you just tone down the screams, I probably would pop on Allegiance if he
All right.
if they toned it down a bit. But that's just me. All right.
So this is what my question is, and I sent it to you. I sent it to a couple people, right? There are definitely times in As Blood Runs Black where they go like there's much more like tremolo picking. It's leans
Mhm.
into the death metal aspect of it, which creates deathcore, right? But as Blood Runs Black tiptoes the line between deathcore and metalcore very, very heavily.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is so much, especially on the later albums, that it's like August Burns Red at times. There's other times where you get genty, like
Yeah.
especially on Ground Zero. There's straight
Mhm.
up just like gent parts.
Yeah.
And so like old school deathcore compared to new deathcore, it's just two different things. Like we've talked about
Mhm.
it and we don't have to rehash all of that out. But like I remember the Job for a Cowboys. I remember the Whitechapels,
Mhm.
the Winds of Plagues. These bands where like Winds of Plagues was like symphonic, right? They had like
Yeah.
the big organs in the background. They had
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff. Then you had Whitechapel, where Phil Bozeman, he was the first vocalist who I was just like mind blown with how low he would go and how high he would go. Just insane, right? I know that, and then Drop Break Cowboy, you had the pig squeals, you had stuff like that.
Yeah.
That stuff back in the day was weird to me.
That's still weird to me.
I get behind it a lot more these days, but back in the day, that was weird to me. But that's whereas when Blood Runs Black came in,
Yeah.
I was like, I really, really like this
Mhm.
because it was super heavy, super fast, but it wasn't what you're talking about. It wasn't the Gremlins. It wasn't the Depths of Hell. It wasn't Pig Squeals,
Yeah.
or it wasn't symphonic. Like it wasn't the doomy symphonic metal and stuff like
Mhm.
that. It
Yeah.
felt hardcore. It felt metalcore, but
Yeah.
just a little
It
more aggressive.
So like my issue with a lot of the deathcore today is it like gimmicky, but it also feels it's like shock value music, right?
Yeah.
It's like what's the Lorna? Is it Lorna Shore?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Where that guy? It's like a dick measuring contest of who can make the weirdest sounds out of their mouth.
Yeah.
And so I feel like what I liked about his Blood Runs Black is like at this moment in time, especially with Allegiance and like what is that 2006?
Yeah.
Like this is pretty new, you know. You can hear the hardcore influence. Like people, this is what pisses me off about a lot of these genres, like metalcore and deathcore, is it's like metalcore is metal, like metallic hardcore.
Yeah.
Deathcore is like death metal, like death hardcore. Like in a lot of these bands, it's like, where's the hardcore influence? Like if you're gonna call yourself deathcore or metalcore, there needs to be hardcore influence. And in my opinion, a breakdown is not
It's
enough.
not enough. Yeah.
At this point in time, like a breakdown is just a part of heavy alternative music. What I liked about his Blood Runs Black is like there were gang vocals. The breakdowns weren't just these like insane bass drop that like blows your eardrums and then one chug with a 4-minute pause in between another chug.
While someone's going,
Exactly. Exactly. Like
yeah,
there was like actual like musicalness to their stuff that made me feel like no, these are kids that probably grew up listening to hardcore and death metal and have done it right. Like they have
yeah,
combined this right, you know.
yeah.
So,
So the band that you started out with, Sea of Treachery,
uh huh.
I don't remember. Let's see. So Daggers at Drawn, that was 2008. So that was after the fact. I'm just trying to think of like what was my first like deathcore, and it
Yeah.
may have been As Blood Runs Black.
Was it Suicide Silence?
No, Suicide was even
Mm,
later than that because
okay.
Suicide, I didn't listen. Suicide was not a band I listened to until actually quite a bit later. I didn't
Was
get
it
into Suicide Silence until probably 2010, 2011. And that
was
was
it
when
Bring Me the
I,
Horizon?
nah, definitely wasn't Bring Me the Horizon. Um, the bands who I'm kind of thinking off the top of my head, there was All Shall Perish. They had early stuff.
But see, they
Uh,
okay, so they're a good example of like a deathcore that leans more into a metalcore.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and
So
I like All Shall Perish, man. Like this. This is what I'm saying. Sorry. You can keep going. Keep going.
no, you're good. You're good. Say what you're saying.
No, I'm just saying that like this is the deathcore that like I'm okay with. Like I just it leans more on the metalcore. It leans more on the like raw metallic sound. It's not this overproduced, shock value
Yeah.
deathcore. So All Shall Perish is a great example. Like
Yeah.
uh what is it? Awaken the Dreamers?
Yeah. Dude, such a good
The
album.
album's so good.
Right.
At Daggers Drawn from Sea Treachery, like that's a great album. But like when I started looking at like freaking Job for a Cowboy, that's when I was like, no, okay, guys, I've hit my limit. Yeah.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Rings of
Uh
Saturn, like, nah, dude, like I'm good.
yeah, the other band was like American Me. Do you remember American Me?
I
That was a
remember the name,
band.
but I couldn't tell you a song from them.
Dude, that first song off that first album, it was called Heat. It starts off just with like a crazy drum beat and then straight into some like fast kind of deathy sounding stuff.
Uh,
And then they scream, "We're American!" And like it's just like it's just I'm listening to it right
yeah,
now. It's I freaking love that intro song, Attribute of the Strong. Such a good song. But
yeah.
that
So like, sorry, I was gonna say Carnifex is another one that was like
Carnifex,
pretty dang early on.
yeah, Carnifex was definitely early. Uh gosh dang, there was another band who I was just thinking, but I can't think off the top of my head. Anyways, but that's what we're talking about, right? There
Yeah.
was definitely like even within deathcore, there was varying deathcore,
Hmm.
right? I was much more in line with, like you said, the hardcore metalcore style of deathcore. So just a more aggressive version of what we were already listening to.
Yeah.
Typically is what it was. I didn't care for all of the brutality that
Right.
came with, like I didn't love the imagery of Whitechapels. I didn't love
Right.
the imagery of Job for a Cowboys or like our local band Chelsea Grin. I
Yeah.
didn't love the imagery
Yeah.
of that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I remember the first time listening to that Wings of Plague song, and it was like, I'm gonna cut you open like an effing pig or whatever. And I was just like,
Yeah.
maybe you and I are just pussies, but like, I'm all right, man. Like, I'm good. You know, like I'm not
Right.
gonna listen to grindcore today. I'm not gonna listen to like Winds of Plague back then. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Exactly. So we just were very long winded about this, but I think it sets the stage for what we even listen to today and like a lot of where we tend to fall with everything. Like today, for me, this is a perfect example. I'll listen to Suicide Silence. I'll listen to the heavy stuff. I'll listen to Job for a Cowboy. I'll go back to Whitechapel. I'll go like to the first. This is a weird one to say, but Impending Doom album. Like I
Yeah.
know it's Christian, right? But dude, that first Nell Dead Risen, freaking heavy, just aggressive. Elijah, they just reissued and remastered. I had Elijah rolling on in Smiths the other day. Like, I'll listen to that kind of stuff. For me today, I'm not into slam. Torture does not do it for me.
Right.
So, talk to me in 10 years. Maybe I'm all about torture in 10 years. Like, we'll see where we
Yeah.
go from here. But it's just funny. It's funny how genres get progressively more aggressive.
Well. okay, debatable. I think there's. I get what you're saying. I don't think. I think it's you that's changed. Like not because I think genres have actually gotten less aggressive. Like metalcore and deathcore are perfect examples.
Maybe I shouldn't say aggressive. That's probably the
I
wrong word. But
okay.
okay,
Hold on.
so
Maybe this is what. So I was just gonna say. Well, maybe what you're saying is that like society has become more
no,
accustomed
you're
to.
thinking way too into this. It's much more surface level than that. Like I'm
No, I'm
not,
just like no, but I'm just saying like,
making a
dude, people
societal
think
thing anything.
like people. No, I'm saying like people think Lorna Shore is like a normal thing now, but
Yeah,
like Lorna Shore is like darker, heavier ish.
sure. So where I'm going with it when I say more aggressive, so like if you look at the progression that we went through, right? So you look at hardcore, it's fast, it's aggressive, people are circle pitting, push pitting, all that kind of stuff. The next step up, we start to get two stepping, we start to get throwing fists, everything like that. You know what I mean? You start to get the breakdowns
Mhm.
implemented into hardcore. Then you get a little bit more aggressive with metalcore, right? People are swinging harder and harder. It starts slowing down. It starts toning down. You get the deathcore. You get the heavy. It gets even a little bit more slow. You get the longer, drawn out pause. Now they've cut out everything, and it's just slam. It's just it's literal the chugs
Yeah.
just for you to swing as hard as you can. They've taken everything else out. So when I say more aggressive, I'm just saying the whole mentality of it
Yeah.
is just fight.
So like where like punk started as like non-technical power chords and then bands started to get more and more technical and it was kind of this like curve up. Metal has gone the other way of like the technical music and it's just gone down to caveman chugging the entire time, you
Even
know?
worse than that, like we no longer even have the energy to tighten our strings all the way. We leave our tunings loose just because we don't even have the energy for that.
They're
So,
playing with like the cords that hold up like power poles, like electrical
right.
poles. It's just those like real thick metal. Like that's what they're playing on now,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, again, this is extremely long winded before we actually talk about As Blood Runs Black, but, I think it really does set the stage.
I do think, you know what though? I do think this is an interesting thing to talk about because um a lot of people online, and maybe this is a regional thing, right? And you look at different places in the country and everyone's always like, how did you get into hardcore?
Yeah,
Right? Like if you grew up on the West Coast or the Northeast, your pathway to hardcore is probably through punk music. So your
sure.
hardcore music is going to be more punk influenced. You start looking at like Texas, even like Arizona, the bands coming out of Arizona, Florida, like the South, any of these places in the South, Tennessee, like it's very metal influenced. It's very, it's very different. So the hardcore to them is like this, like you get into it in different ways. And I just think of how that's like influenced people in where they got the hardcore. Cause we think that like our natural progression was like we were into punk, like I think we listened to like Bad Religions, Rancid, all that stuff. But like, I don't know that us and our group really got into heavy music until we started experimenting with more metalcore. Like post hardcore was cool, but like until we got into old Devil Wears Prada, old August Burns Red,
Yeah.
old these bands, right? As Blood Runs Black, now we're starting to get into heavy music, and that led us to finally get into, Have Heart, um, all these old school
Yeah.
like Boston, Death Before Dishonor, all these old school bands, and now we're starting to come back into it that might be more punk influence. But all I'm trying to say is that like our pathway is going to seem weird to other people because we came into it through metal. But you go to the Northeast or you go to California, and it's like their pathway was California, for example. You're getting into the Offspring, you're getting into old
AFIs,
AFI, and then
no
you're like,
effects.
yeah, then you're like this band called Ignite.
Yeah.
That's technically a hardcore band, but you listen to them if you no one knew music and you put them on, they'd be like, yeah, it's a punk band.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
that's a hardcore band. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of funny these pathways that lead into hardcore and how you like think like, oh, that's weird. Like Ignite's not hardcore. Freaking Balmora is hardcore, but Balmora is not hardcore because Balmora is just metalcore. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's
Right.
what like our progression to get in, maybe eventually to slam, is kind of funny because to some people where they grew up, it's gonna be like, nah, you guys are way off, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
Middle, like his blood runs black, like that's as far away from half hard as you can get, you know.
But no, it wasn't.
It's not.
uh, absolutely. I completely agree with you. And it is interesting to see, like, we didn't, growing up in Utah, the old bands, like the old straight edge bands, they're heavy, dude. Like they are very, very heavy.
Yeah,
You listen to Clear, you listen to Lifeless, you listen to Tamerlane, all that stuff. It's just balls to the wall heavy. And back in the day, that's not what I was into. Like I wasn't
yeah,
into like the dark heaviness, which
right.
Salt Lake hardcore was dark heavy. We had some dark
Yeah,
heavy stuff. Uh, so it took time. All that stuff now, freaking absolutely love it. It's fantastic, right? Um, but it's bands like you just said, As Blood Runs Black. I
yeah,
don't know if I would have been able to start to go down the deathcore pathway had it not been for an As Blood Runs Black.
sure.
And if I hadn't gone down the deathcore pathway, I don't know if I'd be as comfortable with dark imagery, really aggressive style of lyrics and stuff like that, that is Salt Lake hardcore. So, like, bringing this full circle, sure, we got into it through punk, post hardcore, metalcore, deathcore, and then circled back into being like, oh, damn. Like, there was awesome, really heavy hardcore coming out of Salt Lake. These bands, though, are influenced by other just hardcore bands. And then we start to go down that pathway. And then we start to go backwards, have
Yeah,
hearts, with honors,
yeah,
ambitions, you know, like
uh-huh.
the bands that we talk about. So, like you said, we like, again, pendulum, you swing
Yeah.
up and you swing down. So it is funny
No,
how
it's
it kind of all comes together.
and like again, we're just kind of rambling and haven't talked a lot about the band, but I don't know, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
Um, this revival to hardcore because we've talked about how we kind of took some PTO, some time off on hardcore. It kind of got back into it later, but this revival that I'm having with it back in Texas has been really funny because like the changes to metalcore kind of soured me on it, and I just kind of gave up on it for a little bit. And then I got really heavy back into punk and punk type hardcore. But then as I've gotten more involved in the Texas scene, it's like, then people are like, oh, you have to listen to Power Trip. I'm like, all right. So I start putting on Power Trip and it's like, well, they're a freaking like crossover thrash
Yeah.
hardcore band. And so then it took me a little bit to listen to it and be like, well, but I'm not really like, I'm into punk now, you know, but then I'm like, but damn, Power Trip's so good,
Right.
and so then it's like, well, who else Power Trip? Like, what about like Fugitive, Scourge, even Die Young, man, like talking to Daniel from Die Young, like they're a hardcore band, but they're a crossover thrash hardcore band,
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, well, then I like Obituary and I'm sitting here listening. Like I'd never, like if you would ask me like 5 years ago, like, dude, you're going to sit there and listen to like a whole day of Obituary. Like I'd have told you, no, you're nuts. Like I hate that stuff now,
Right.
but I don't know. It's funny. It's funny the circularness of this, and even listening to His Blood Runs Black. Like when we were texting, I was like, "Yeah, dude, you're not going to like my opinions on it." I don't really have anything bad to say about them. Like they're fine. They're good. Like again, it's not like my thing right now. But like you're saying, maybe check back with me in 5 years. We might be playing in a slam band. I don't know. You know?
Yeah, Torture, you better watch out.
Yeah.
So let's talk about them. I mean, there's only 3 albums. They have a very checkered history. It is actually wild to think about how big they were, but at the same time just didn't like, what's the way to say it? They were huge, but they also didn't like capitalize on that bigness. And maybe it was just the timing of it all or whatever. It sounds like Media Scare pulled a fast one on them. There were some issues behind the scenes, label wise, and all sorts of stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they started in 2003. They were from Los Angeles. They were under a different band name. And then Hector Leitch joined the band as their drummer. And then the rest of the band, and they chose to go by the name as Blood Runs Black, and the entire band quits except for Leitch.
Yeah.
So they get started, they put all this together. It sounds like they had a couple of the songs already written. I think in Dying Days, I think as Hester Prynne had already been written. And then Leitch recruits a whole new band to come and join him. They get everything kind of put together. They put a couple demos out, a few things along those lines, and then they go to the studio. Off of a 3-song demo, they get signed to Media Scare. They go to the studio 2005, 2006, Allegiance drops. I love Allegiance. I've already said this. It is one of like the top 3 deathcore albums, in my opinion, of all time. And like, again, we can debate deathcore, metalcore. What is this? But at the time, it was deathcore,
Deathcore.
right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna call it deathcore. What do you remember about this album, if anything? Because I have got actually memories of being in your basement and talking about this album. So if you don't have memories of this, man,
I mean, I don't really don't.
that's disappointing.
In Dying Days, that's a song that like when it came on, I was like I remembered it.
Yeah.
You know, even just the intro. Which side note, not a big off side note, but just I miss these 40-second intro songs that are just breakdowns. You know what I mean? But I don't have any specific memories of it. Well, it's weird. It's one of those things where like I'm listening to it and like it feels nostalgic, but I don't remember it. You know, it's like it's a little bit of like deja vu, a little bit. You know,
That's interesting. See, it didn't leave an impression on you. It left a huge impression on me.
Okay.
In Dying Days, that In Darkness, and then it goes to just the drums, do do, and then he screams. Like, do you remember when we first heard that double bass? That just. Do you remember that?
No.
Dude. Because at the time, there was double bass, but this was like the fastest double bass that was coming out.
Was it the first time we heard like trigger pedals?
Yeah, I mean, kind of, but I don't think, if I remember, Leitch wasn't doing triggers though. So like we all assumed it was triggers, but then there was a video of him playing and it had the video down on his feet and you just watched him do it. And if I remember right, he was only like 15 at the time. So he was like our age too. This was the other thing too, is why I like really latched onto As Blood Runs Black, was because it was like, oh, that kid's like literally a year older than us.
Yeah.
And like,
that's sick.
It was just insane. It was awesome. And it just went so hard. And it hit the breakdowns in the best way possible.
Yeah.
You had stuff that would build up. And like I said, it goes to this just straight, just drum only, where he goes around the kit, double bass, hits the thing. And then it's just that heavy scream, bass drop, everything shakes. Again, we talk about the Grand Am, window shaking, everything. Like, it was just so good. And the reason why this became so vivid to me is after this happened, it became a fun game to go find the fastest double bass possible. And it was As Blood Runs Black that started that for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Who was the fastest double bass back in the day that you can remember? Come on, bro. Come on, bro. We talked about this all the time.
Who was it?
Think about it. Give it 2 seconds.
I don't know.
You lived in the same country that they're from. Come on, bro.
Oh, Here Comes the Kraken.
Here comes the mother effing Kraken. Like, dude. But here's the thing, right? Like, if it wasn't for As Blood Runs Black, we wouldn't have gone to Here Comes the Kraken and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, it became fun to hear crazy double bass. And for me, it all started with this album. So like In Dying Days, absolutely massive, massive song for me.
Mm-hmm.
My this 3-song run, In Dying Days, My Fears Have Become Phobias, Hester Prynne, that is absolutely incredible. But this entire album, just front to back, there's not a lot of variation to it. It's pretty similar throughout, but it's all insanely good.
Yeah. No, I do. This might be the first time I don't have anything to argue with you about. It really is. It
It's
really
like,
is solid. My fears become my phobias. I remembered this song too
yeah,
when I was listening to it. Um, the guitar work in it, the like just the riff, even at what is it, like 30 seconds, the riff where he just like the scale up really quick,
yeah.
like dude, it's solid. It's very technical, solid music, and yeah, I've nothing bad to say about this album.
All right.
So
Well, you keep going. The song like A Beautiful Mistake, another just great freaking song. Starts out primarily vocals and everything, and then you get the deathcore. Like 20 seconds in, all of a sudden he has the low growl going, and it's just doing some scale work and stuff like that.
yeah,
It's just freaking awesome. I think it's Chug Chug Strife Chug Chug.
uh,
That's just like your classic do 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 do. Like that's what you think of when you think of like slam, deathcore, like that kind of stuff. It just like the work on this album set the stage for what a lot of bands would take into slam, would take into deathcore, would take into death metal. You know, this was probably a hugely influential album to what's going to become deathcore in the future.
right.
And it was
I
great.
I honestly think it's a little bit of an underappreciated album and band. Like you said, they were big, but I don't think they really get their flowers. You know,
Yeah.
'cause
I
this is
I
especially
agree.
because like at the time there were a lot of mixed bills, and so this is a band that you could have seen on. Well, maybe not. Maybe they didn't get a lot of mixed bills. If these guys were in today in 2024, they probably would have been on that Days tour. You know what I mean?
I mean, they
Like
would have fit in with it for sure. Yeah.
Allegiance is 100% an album that would kill it in 2025 in the
Oh,
hardcore
agree.
scene, not the deathcore scene, in the hardcore scene. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree with that. So after this, they tour like crazy. They tour for 2 years, pretty much nonstop. And then 2008, their vocalist and one of their guitarists leaves. So this is where you start to get a little bit of a revolving door. So from 2008 until 2011, when the next album comes out, or 2010, you had the Endwell vocalists came and did a run with them. You had Upon a Burning Body, their vocalist did a run with them.
Okay.
And you had the guy from the Browning did
Mm,
a run with them. And it sounds like they wanted the Browning guy to be like their vocalist, but I think he was just too old. And he's like, I'm not going on a tour with a bunch of kids kind of thing. So he didn't end up going with them.
yeah.
Then they snag their vocalist who, what was his name? Sonic Garcia. He's the one who's on the next album, Instinct. And Sonic, I actually vividly remember when this album was coming out and seeing all the promo with him as their vocalist. Gauges, shaved head, like he looked like Phil Bozeman in a way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like what
Yeah.
you had started to come to expect from some of
Probably
this
wearing
deathcore.
probably wearing a basketball jersey.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, yeah. Had the tight pants, carabiner hanging out the pocket, had his gauges, like, like
Yeah.
he did definitely. He had his tour pass on it, like
Yeah.
exactly what you'd think. So I remember when this was coming out, And I feel like I might be wrong, but when they were writing this album, it might have been this one or it might have been the next one. They actually released a couple of the tracks without vocals
Mm,
for people to put vocals to as just
that's
kind
cool.
of a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there and I would watch like YouTube videos of people doing their own vocals over as Blood Runs Black songs. And then I remembered when this album dropped. And at this point, I am listening to Suicide Silence. I am listening more to Whitechapel. I'm listening to heavier deathcore.
Yeah.
This album to me did not feel deathcore. What do you think about Instinct?
I mean, it starts to move into the deathcore that I don't like. It felt a little overproduced. Like even in Legacy, where they do the weird like pig squeal, it like goes between the ears. It's like, yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah.
I'm good on that. I never listened to this album in 2011, so this was my first time actually listening to it. But I don't think it's as good as their first album, like at all.
Yeah. I
But
mean, I'll agree with that. But like realistically, when I say as Blood Runs Black feels like August Burns Red, a lot of this stuff feels like August Burns Red with more aggressive vocals.
see, I mean,
Especially
I don't.
like really, especially like
I
some of
feel
the
like
breakdowns in it and things. Like
it's
I
it's way
just
more it's way more blast beaty and way more deathy. It sounds like a deathcore version of My Children, My Bride. The breakdowns feel a lot more like that.
okay.
So
And maybe yeah, that's probably a good thing to say. And we've always said, My Children, My Bride, they leaned into what would be somewhat considered deathcore at times too. Like I just think that like the line got blurred, and I think it got blurred because people started to become so polarizing with
yeah,
deathcore.
I,
They tried to stick a little bit true to what they originally were.
see, I don't feel like that on this album.
No?
I feel like you listen to like Angel City Gamble, like even the breakdown in it that's like a little past halfway. It feels like the maybe it's just the like mastering of it. It just didn't feel genuine to me. I don't know. And maybe I'm looking too much into it, but it feels overproduced. It feels like they lost a little bit of the rawness, and when these albums are overproduced, I feel like they lose the aggressiveness. Right? I think rawness to me does directly attach to aggressiveness of sound. And
Yeah.
so this album feels a little more gimmicky to me because it's just
Okay.
overproduced. It sounds too clean. It sounds too good.
Yeah, but
You
that's what's
know.
going to happen at this time, right?
No, I
This is
know.
the rise of Rise Records. This is when all of the stuff is overproduced. It's very digital and everything. So this album is definitely going to be much more produced than Allegiance was. Very clearly, it's going to be more produced
Yeah,
than that. It's the timing of it.
but I
But
feel like
like,
that ruins. I feel like that ruined the
sure.
magic that was Legions.
I mean,
So
but to be fair, that's what ruined a lot of
absolutely,
metalcore,
yeah,
deathcore stuff that was
still ruining
happening
it.
just in 2010, 2011. Like there was a lot of these albums that we talk about that are like that, right?
Yeah.
That being said, if you take out the production quality of it, if you take out and you just listen to it in terms of like, what are they playing, right? You just talked about Angel City Gamble. It
Hmm.
starts out Black Dahlia ish, right?
Yeah.
Very aggressive death metal right up front. Where I say it feels more metalcore to me is as soon as the vocals kick in and you start to get that kind of jump pattern. That is very, very just metalcore to me. That's what you get from the My Chill Mind Brides. That's what you get from the August Burns Red and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So, like, yes, I know what you're saying, where they lean into at times
Sure.
the heavy death, right? The Black Dahlia style death metal. But then it's almost like I feel like Allegiance was a very cohesive album where it felt very like everything bled together very well. This one feels very much like there's two competing
Mhm. Sure.
styles
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
times. If that kind of maybe that's what I feel about it, but
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think that like, yeah, I think there's a part of this album that they maybe did want to stay true, but just couldn't do it. You know?
because like then you go down to a song like "In Honor," and this could have been like an "As I Lay Dying" song from "Shadows Are Security" or "Ocean Between Us." Like that type of like metalcore style riff,
Yeah.
like maybe it's trending in like those death scales, but the staccato picking, all that kind of stuff,
Yeah,
it
but
feels
even
more
then, like
"As I Lay Dying" ish.
it's very blast beady. It's
Sure,
very
the drum work pushes
yeah.
it, and but I'm
Sure, from a riff standpoint, sure.
yeah,
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 that can lean metalcore. The breakdown in Honor does feel like an As I Lay Dying breakdown.
yeah.
Like I get where you're coming on that.
So like,
Again, like just to reiterate, it's the vocals for me, man. Like I struggle making a lot of correlations in the metalcore because I can't get the freaking screeching
yeah.
scream out.
See,
Like it,
and I love that stuff now. That's honestly like why I like Balmora and Ashara so much right now is because it's a throwback to that Fry,
uh-huh.
I killed the prom queen high, like just aggressive like stuff. And this stuff led to Lorna Shore and the crazy weird sounds you have, but it's not there yet.
Right, right.
Right.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
that's where this is the stuff where I grew to appreciate Phil Bozeman, Mitch Lurker,
Mm,
um, all those the impending doom guy Brooks, um, all those guys who can do the crazy variations. It comes from this, and I
yeah,
do enjoy Instinct because of stuff like that. So, but yeah,
yeah,
it just the drum work definitely blast beaty, right? There are definitely riffs in it that are straight death metal, like in Angel City Gamble. But
mhm,
then you listen to a song like In Honor, and the riff in it is very much a metalcore riff,
yeah,
right? So like there's a lot going on here. And I think that maybe that's where this got lost. Is 2011, that's when Deathcore goes hard in the paint with the craziness, the really Die Hard is Murder starts coming out, right?
yeah,
You get again, I think Mitch had just passed away, but Suicide Silence was still huge.
yeah,
Uh, all that stuff, it starts getting crazy with it. And then you had Metalcore, which who's coming out in 2010? Rise Records is really big. So you had the Rise bands. This doesn't quite fit with the
mm.
Rise bands, right?
No, and get a lot of the solid state metalcore bands too. But so okay, it maybe doesn't fit fully sonically, but it kind of does though. Cause like you listen to production sounds, you listen to vocals from metalcore coming out from like solid state or rise at this time. Dude, like it is very similar. Maybe the music's faster, but
Yeah.
I, I don't know. I don't know.
I
They
also
do. I
think
feel like they cross over quite a bit at this time.
2010 also you're starting to get a lot of the Christian heavy stuff
Mhm.
at that time too. So like you had a lot of the For Todays, A Plea for
Yeah,
Purging was big. Uh you had a lot of like those kind of bands that were coming out, right? Haste the Day was still really big. And As Blood Runs Black is not going to go hop on one of those bills,
yeah.
right? Like
No, but like I could see his Blood
it
Runs Black
could.
playing was like, well, shoot, dude, we saw Whitechapel with August Burns Red, right? Wasn't that
Is that
Whitechapel or
who
was
they
that
were
the?
with? No, that was the Acacia Strain.
No, but
We
see,
saw
but I guess that's the point I'm making is that like I've seen some of these deathcore bands that I don't like, but I can tell you I wasn't going there for them.
okay. Yeah.
Like they were playing with some of these bands that I guess you would have thought they wouldn't. I don't know. I don't know. But that was a weird time. That was a weird
Yeah.
time.
It was a weird
You know.
time. So, anyways, we'll go on to Ground Zero. Well, so more crap happens. Sonic he leaves, and they get another. Again, they've had guitar players leave. The only
Mhm.
one who's really stayed consistent is Leitch, their drummer. He's the one who was there in 2003. He's the one who was there up until they call it quits in 2015 or 16, whenever it is. But they recruited a new guy. They're off of Media Scare at this point, and they do a crowdfunding to be able to put out Ground Zero.
Mm.
And so it this album is interesting. This album feels very much conducive to what's going on in 2014. There's nothing really it doesn't stand out extremely well. There's nothing bad about it though. Like that's the thing. I could put this album on and I could listen to this album, not a problem. I could go work out to this, I could go mow the lawn to this, I could just put it on and drive around in the car with it, but there's nothing extremely memorable about this album. And that's kind of the issue that I have with
Yeah.
it. So, what did you think about Ground Zero?
So when I first listened to it, I very much did not like it because it sounds like a lot of the generic crap that's out today. But then when I heard that it's like 2014, then I'm like, all right, like they were one of the first to do this type of stuff. Like the song An Oath, that could be on any metalcore or deathcore band in 2025. You know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
add like the weird melodic and then the clean singing, and it's like, dude, this is not the same band. You know, this is
Yeah.
the unfortunate evolution of deathcore once it got popular and hot topic. You know what I mean?
It is, like I said, it's very much appropriate to the time, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, An Oath, it's a metalcore song. It's a melodic. You get some metalcore in there, but then he still does some of the deathcore aspects with his vocals. And so like I like it.
Oh,
Like again, I like this. This is the stuff I like.
yeah.
But
No, it's
it's not
yeah,
memorable.
no.
That's my
And
whole
it's
thing.
and the only thing that's deathcore about it is his vocal range. Like musically, it's not. Like
Yeah.
Vision, there's the song Vision. Like that's not a deathcore song. I mean, it is, but it's not. Like this is a who does this sound like? This reminds me of like a plea for purging, or
Yeah.
some of those like the modern face down bands.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, they and like I said, it felt like they started to trend more towards metalcore. They started out
Yeah,
with what was MySpace deathcore. They trended Instinct, sure, like we talked about. You had death elements in it, but then you had metalcore elements in it. This one, the death elements, the vocals. It's also
yeah.
his drumming. His drumming still blast beats, fast, all that kind of stuff.
But there's way less of it. Like I'll give a credit to like Allegiance and even Ground Zero, not Ground Zero, Instinct. It's fast, like, and and it's relentless,
Yeah.
right? Ground Zero, there's too much metal influence in it now, you
Okay.
know? Like there's too much melodic guitar pieces where, too much solos. It's not just like straight relentless in your face,
Yeah.
death influenced metal. This is just like normal metal.
Yeah.
It's like
See,
metal. I don't know. I don't want to say it's metalcore because it's not really metalcore, but it's like traditional metal
sure.
core.
And like the song City Limits, that's probably the most like old As Blood
Yeah,
Runs Black that you
sure.
get. Freaking City Limits is awesome with that intro that they have. Why are you looking at me like that? You don't like this song?
I hate the part where it's like we're just like stops and then it just keeps going. Like it's like
like,
it's just
yeah,
like random, dude. It's just like one little part, like out of nowhere. It's like, okay.
it's awesome, bro. Like, dude, I really, really like that part actually. And then it goes into solid breakdowns, everything like
Yeah,
that. You have the crab breakdown at the end kind of thing, like it's just fun. Like it's good.
that's what this turned into. This is crabcore. This is 100% crabcore.
It's death crab.
It's death crab.
It's death crap. So yeah, 100%. I know what you're saying, but here's again, I like this album. I think that it's good. I can listen to it and it keeps my attention. It is weird that they put the Queen singing in there and stuff like that. I don't love Queen singing and stuff, but I think that they actually do it pretty well on this album. There's just, again, it's just like not memorable.
Yeah.
Like, if anyone was like, hey, talk to me about Ground Zero, I'd be like, I've listened to it.
Yeah.
That's why I can tell you I've listened to it before, you know?
Yeah.
And I might be like, oh, that opening song where he's like screaming about the city of angels, like that's like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nothing else really caught me. So overall, this is a band that I really like because I think that they got captured in the MySpace wave. They got really boosted with Allegiance. They rode that wave while MySpace was there. When MySpace was gone, they were gone. Like that's the weird thing about it. When did we transition from MySpace to Facebook? Probably
Dude.
pretty aggressively in 2010.
Yeah. 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 I think 2010, it's like your Facebook is on top. Like 2009, I think is when I like actually made a Facebook page, but I think I was like full Facebook 2010.
Right. In 2009, we're still probably on MySpace, at least looking for bands, listening to music and stuff like that. Like it's still there.
Yeah.
2010, were you checking your MySpace at that point? Probably not. You know what I mean? Like very few people were checking their MySpace at this point, and they lost all momentum. Like,
You could maybe outside of Suicide Silence, though, you could probably say that about most of these
yeah,
big deathcore bands.
yeah,
You know,
no, 100%. Like there was very few. Whitechapel, that's another
even
one. Suicide
Cowboy,
Silence.
Cowboy, dude. Like, who else talked about those guys really? And they're making a revival now because I think a lot of us are getting old and we're looking back on this stuff.
Oh, see,
But
and I'm talking about bands that like actually made it, right? Like
oh
Whitechapel.
yeah, yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Whitechapel made it, right? Suicide Silence made it is
Yeah,
what you would like consider making it, right?
yeah,
But then you think about who the big bands were, like you said, Job for a Cowboy. Who would have thought that they would have gone away?
right.
We were really into Sea of Treachery. Sea of Treachery
Mm-hmm.
was nothing,
No,
especially after Daggers at Drawn or
yeah,
at Daggers Drawn. Um, that second album, Wonderland, terrible with the Jamie's
yeah.
Elsewhere guy. Dude, so bad. Um, I'm trying to think of like some of the other bands. Like they just weren't there. So MySpace and Deathcore, obviously there was a big rise and fall in general with relation to it. But I think that as Blood Runs Black is probably the most prototypical example of what it was.
Yeah.
Because their shows were awesome
Mhm.
up until they weren't. Like there
Yeah,
wasn't a gradual fall off. They were just like awesome and then gone.
yeah.
So
I
it was
mean,
interesting.
look, I think we were the primary target audience for this generation of deathcore.
Yeah.
And you start getting out into 2012, 2013. We're out of high school for a bunch of years. People are starting to get married, going to college. You probably outgrow it. And maybe the younger generation that like had brothers that were like my brothers influenced me with post-hardcore and some metalcore. You probably get people that were our age that were showing their brothers like deathcore,
Yeah.
and so then when they're in 2010, 2011, 2012, it's like you have these up and comers changing deathcore, kind of like what people have done to the music we're big fans. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I just don't know that deathcore was the genre that survived the passing of generations. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's making a really good comeback now,
But it's different. It's
but
not yeah.
yeah, and I also think the only reason it's making a comeback now is because kids have discovered hardcore. Like I think kids are rediscovering real, authentic, heavy, aggressive music. And, but to be honest with you, I don't think this new iteration of deathcore is going to last more than 5 to 6 years. You
See,
know?
and I don't know about that. I think that it has enough momentum, and I think that enough of the bands have established themselves in a way that it's more about the live performance now. Like you go to a Lorna Shore thing and it's about the performance. It's about the fire display. It's about
Yeah.
Will up there with the lights behind him and him doing his shrieking and all that kind of stuff. And it turns into more of like an art exhibit
Okay.
and less about the deathcore music, I feel
Yeah.
like. And
So,
that again, that's an outsider perspective looking in because I'm not the audience going to Lorna Shore.
no, that's a good
So,
take. That's a good take. I guess I'm thinking more about like this local band here in Dallas called Six Shots in
dude, and they're
Dallas.
awesome.
They're great, man. But I think they're like high school kids,
Yeah.
you know? Um, it's just, and their shows are wild. Like kids mosh insanely hard for them. But how do you do that for more than 5 to 6 years? Like you can only blast beat so much. Bands like Black Dahlia Murder, like they're the exception, I feel like, to some of that. Cause then there's only so much you can do, right? There's only so much blast beats and high to low screams that you can do,
Yeah.
you know? And I feel like these bands, like, I feel like genres like metalcore, especially like older metalcore, hardcore, even like, and I know hardcore's kind of adopted a lot of metalcore, but I just think that like there's so much more that you can do with it that I think deathcore is going to be one of these genres that just come in waves. And I'm not talking about the Lorna Shores because you're right. I don't think that's going away. I think society has accepted that to be the cool music nowadays,
Yeah.
and it's a performance now, and that's cool. They can have that. That's fine. But I'm talking about like real, authentic deathcore. I think it's going to come here. And I think we're going to see a lot of it for 5 to 6 years, and I think it's going to go away.
Yeah.
So
And I think what you're going to see is you're going to see it as kids learn how to mosh.
yeah,
Like, like you get started moshing to hardcore, metalcore, stuff like that. And then it turns into, I want more often, heavier breakdowns. And that's what brings deathcore back. And that's
yeah,
what Girl Glass is. That's what Six Shots in Dallas is. Like you're getting some of that stuff because kids just want to get violent again.
yeah.
And I say
But see, then
violent in the best possible
in a
sense
good way.
of the
Yeah.
word. Yeah, yeah.
But then they're going to hit their 20s, and I think they're going to be like, I don't relate to this anymore because that's kind
You
of what we did.
you grow out of it for a minute, but then
Yeah.
you realize deathcore is always there, and
Yeah.
you actually love it, and it's awesome.
I don't know. We'll see. Someone set a reminder. Remind me in 5 years. Let's see where these bands are.
Yeah, like I
Seriously.
said, talk to me when Torture's the greatest band who's ever existed. I will tell you why they're the greatest band that's ever existed.
Yeah.
So,
Look, dude, this was a cool band that you picked. I mean, it's not my thing, but like, I'm always down to listen to this. And as you know, I'll say it again in regards to deathcore. This would be one of the top deathcore bands for me because I actually listened to these 3 albums and didn't want to kill myself. It was fine.
see, this is the stuff that I put on when my girls are like, play daddy's music where we can spin our hair. I'm like, play Black Dahlia Murder, play As Blood Runs Black. Like this is the stuff that I turn on, and they get out there and they're doing their hair spins and stuff, and it's awesome.
No, that's cool.
So,
Yeah, that's awesome.
well, they put out a teaser in 2021 that they were working on music, but I found Leitch, I believe, on LinkedIn, and he's a real estate agent. So,
Good for him.
yeah, I'm glad that they're doing something, but we'll see. We'll see if we
Yeah.
end up ever
Well,
with
maybe next year we get a like 20 year of
dude
Allegiant.
Allegiance 20-year. Come on, I will definitely go to that,
Yeah, I would too. I'll tell you that right now. If they play 20 year allegiance, I'll go to that.
dude. That would be incredible. So
Yeah.
dope. Well, we have we don't have any interviews scheduled actually, huh?
Yeah, no, we got
It's
one
a
in a
couple
couple weeks.
weeks, but a couple
Yeah, yeah.
weeks.
I
So
think next week maybe we'll do another nostalgia band. we haven't been very good on these. So
No, we haven't.
maybe
So
we'll
yeah,
knock a
maybe we
couple.
will. Maybe we'll hit up one more nostalgia.
All right.
Dope. All right.
This is cool, man.
Peace.
Bye. I gotta stop it.